You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. This is the paradox you've felt but never fully named. You've asked for love, success, healing, abundance. And yet life has sometimes handed you the opposite. Why? Because reality doesn't respond to your wishes, it responds to your frequency. Every thought you repeat, every emotion you dwell in, every belief you hold beneath the surface, becomes a signal. That signal is not silent. It radiates out, invisible yet undeniable, through the quantum field around you. And like a tuning fork, the universe responds in kind. Quantum physics reveals this in ways that almost feel mystical. In the double slit experiment, light behaves as both a particle and a wave until it is observed. Infinite potential exists waiting. But the moment of observation, the moment of focus, collapses possibility into form. The same principle governs your life. Your subconscious attention, even the parts you're unaware of, is collapsing wave after wave into the physical experience you call reality. Think about it. Two people can walk into the exact same room. One feels anxious, certain they are being judged, and instantly notices every sign of disapproval. The other feels confident, alive, open, and suddenly the same room seems full of warmth and opportunity. The environment hasn't changed. The frequency has. Your subconscious is the hidden transmitter. You may say you want abundance, but if the deeper vibration is scarcity, lack, or fear, then scarcity is the signal being broadcast. Life mirrors that signal back, not as punishment but as precision. Reality is simply too exact to give you what you are not resonating with. This is why desire alone is never enough. The universe doesn't hear your words, it hears your state. And your state is the sum of your beliefs, your emotions, your nervous system patterns. But here is the hope. Frequency is not fixed. Just as radio waves can be tuned, just as music can shift keys, you can learn to shift your inner broadcast. You are not locked into the signal of your past. You are not bound to the vibrations of yesterday's wounds. This is the beginning of awakening. To realize that your world is not random, not cruel, not indifferent, but deeply entangled with you. To see that your relationships, your opportunities, your repeating patterns are not mistakes, but mirrors. They are showing you the station you've been tuned to, and if you can see it, you can change it. Your reality is not a sentence. It is a reflection. Your frequency is not permanent. It is a choice. And the moment you shift, everything shifts. This is the hidden truth most people never realize. You are not waiting for life to change. Life is waiting for you to change your frequency. Reality is not solid. It is fluid, responsive, alive. What you call the world is not a fixed stage on which you play your part. It is a shimmering field of probabilities, constantly collapsing into form based on what you observe, what you believe, and what you feel. This is not philosophy. It is physics. In the famous double slit experiment, light behaved as both a wave and a particle. When no one observed it, the photons spread out in infinite possibility, forming an interference pattern. But the moment they were measured, they collapsed into a single, concrete outcome. Observation changed the result. Awareness created reality. What does this mean for you? That every thought you focus on, every expectation you carry, every emotion you embody, is an act of observation. It collapses one dimension of possibility into the lived experience you now call your life. This is the hidden science of shifting dimensions. Dimensions are not distant galaxies or parallel worlds waiting somewhere else. They are frequencies of reality coexisting here and now. Fear is a dimension. Abundance is a dimension. Love, grief, creativity, stagnation, each one is a vibrational layer of existence, and you, through your state of consciousness, tune into them like channels on a cosmic radio. Think of two people standing at the edge of the same ocean. One feels awe, peace, connection. The waves are alive, breathing with them. The other feels restless, empty, trapped. The same ocean, the same water. Yet they inhabit different realities, two dimensions overlaid in the same space, separated only by frequency. You have done this countless times without noticing. Have you ever revisited a place from your past, only to find it feels completely different? The building, the streets, the colors, they haven't changed. You shifted dimensions. and the world reflected it back. Quantum entanglement makes this even more profound. Particles once connected remain linked across space and time, mirroring each other's state instantly, no matter the distance. If the universe itself is entangled, then your inner shift reverberates outward. The frequency you embody is not trapped inside you. It ripples into the quantum field, reorganizing the reality that surrounds you. Here's the truth. You are never stuck. You are simply tuned to a dimension that matches your current frequency. The doorway to another world is not out there. It is within. The question is not, when will my life change? The question is, when will I shift my state? Because the moment you shift, the moment you embody a different vibration, the dimension you are aligned with rearranges itself. People respond differently. Opportunities emerge where there were none. Patterns dissolve. You don't walk into a new dimension. You become it. And in that becoming, the universe has no choice but to reflect it. So understand this. Dimensions are not places you travel to. They are states you awaken into. The life you long for is not far away. It is already here, vibrating at a frequency, waiting for you to tune in. All you must do is shift. What if every emotion you feel was not just a reaction, but a broadcast? You've been taught to believe emotions are private, locked inside your body, invisible, fleeting. But here's the truth. Your emotions are signals, radiating beyond your skin, into the invisible field that quantum physicists call the zero-point energy field. Every time you feel, you are transmitting. Every time you think, you are vibrating. Fear, doubt, joy, gratitude, none of them are abstract. They are measurable frequencies. Science has already shown that your heart generates the most powerful electromagnetic field in the body, stronger than the brain by magnitudes. When you feel love, your heart's field expands, coherent, like a tuning fork harmonizing the room around you. When you feel fear, the field contracts, jagged, disharmonious, pulling you inward, cutting you off from flow. Think of your emotions as the codes you are constantly sending into the quantum matrix. A person walking into a room with unresolved anger changes the energy of that space before a word is spoken. Another person grounded in deep peace enters the same room and everything softens. The room does not respond to the words. It responds to the frequency. This is why two people can live through the same event and experience entirely different realities. One loses a job and collapses into despair, feeling abandoned by life. Another loses the same job and sees it as liberation, an opening to finally build the business they've been dreaming of. The event is neutral. The difference is the frequency they project into it. And here's the paradox you've been missing. Your emotions are not just outcomes of your reality, they are the architects of it. When you hold the frequency of joy before the evidence of joy appears, the field responds. When you vibrate with gratitude before you see the result, the universe has no choice but to align to the resonance you're holding. Joe Dispenza often says, your body is the unconscious mind. If you rehearse stress daily, if you rehearse resentment, your body becomes addicted to that chemical state. You unconsciously broadcast the same signal day after day, and reality mirrors it back. Not as punishment, but as reflection. Reality is saying, this is the song you are playing. Do you wish to change the station? So the real practice is not controlling your external world, it's tuning your inner instrument. Breath by breath, thought by thought, emotion by emotion. You begin to notice, this doubt I'm feeling is a frequency. Do I want to keep transmitting it? You begin to experiment. What happens if I generate gratitude, even here, even now? The quantum field does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Your emotions are the language of that being, and in this moment, you are always free to choose a new vibration. Fear or love, scarcity or abundance, resistance or surrender. Because the truth is simple. You are not just experiencing your emotions. You are broadcasting your future. What if the most powerful broadcast you're sending isn't the one you're aware of? You think you're creating with your conscious mind, your goals, your affirmations, your vision boards. But here's the truth. The conscious mind is the passenger, not the driver. The subconscious is the hidden transmitter, and it never turns off. From the moment you were born, you were downloading. Your nervous system recorded the tone of your parents' voices, the way love was given or withheld, the way fear was handled in your home. By age 7, your brain waves were in a theta state, highly suggestible, imprinting everything as truth. And those early imprints became the frequency you unconsciously broadcast into the quantum field. This is why you can repeat affirmations all day. I am abundant. I am abundant. But if the subconscious transmitter is still tuned to lack, your signal doesn't change. The universe doesn't respond to your words. It responds to your vibration. Think of the subconscious as a radio tower. If it has been programmed to broadcast scarcity, fear, or unworthiness, then no matter how hard you try, you'll notice the same kind of people. The same circumstances, the same repeating struggles appear in your life, not as punishment, but as reflection. The mirror of reality is simply showing you the signal you're sending. Take this example. 2 people walk into an opportunity for love. One has a subconscious program of abandonment. So even if someone shows them genuine care, they anticipate rejection, they sabotage, they pull away. The other, whose subconscious is imprinted with safety and worthiness, receives love easily without suspicion. Same opportunity, different subconscious transmission, different reality. Quantum physics shows us that consciousness collapses waves of possibility into form. But it's not just your fleeting conscious thoughts doing the collapsing, it's the deeply embedded patterns in your subconscious that set the baseline. The double slit experiment reveals that observation shapes outcome, and your subconscious is observing all the time. So how do you shift the transmitter? Awareness is the first step. You begin to notice the patterns that repeat, relationships that end the same way, financial ceilings you never break, fears that echo from childhood. These are the footprints of your subconscious frequency. Once seen, they can be reprogrammed. Neuroscience tells us that repetition, emotion, and imagery are the languages of the subconscious. This is why meditation, visualization, and intentional emotional states are so powerful. When you repeatedly rehearse gratitude, when you generate the feeling of safety or abundance, you are no longer just thinking, you are imprinting. You are teaching your subconscious a new song to broadcast. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to force change in the external world and instead shift the program within, the external begins to rearrange itself. Opportunities emerge. Old patterns dissolve. Life reflects back the new frequency you've chosen. The subconscious is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally once you learn to speak its language. So let this chapter leave you with a choice: to stop fighting your hidden transmitter and start tuning it. Not through force, but through awareness. Not through control, but through gentle, repeated rehearsal of who you choose to become. Because in the end, your subconscious is not a cage. It is the doorway, and you are always free to walk through. What if the life you're clinging to is the very thing blocking the one you're asking for? You hold on to old stories because they feel familiar. You replay identities, the one who was betrayed, the one who failed, the one who never got chosen. But here's the truth. To step into a new dimension, the old one must collapse. Reality cannot hand you something new while your hands are still gripping the past. Quantum physics shows us that every moment holds infinite possibilities. In the double slit experiment, a particle exists in a wave of probabilities until it is observed, until consciousness chooses. The same is true for you. As long as you keep observing yourself through the lens of old pain, you collapse reality into the same repeating outcome. You aren't being punished. You are being mirrored. Think about this. 2 people go through heartbreak. One repeats the narrative, everyone leaves me. I can't trust love. They collapse again into fear and walls. Another person feels the same heartbreak but chooses differently. This is proof of my capacity to love deeply. I'm ready for someone who can meet me there. Same event. 2 realities. The difference is not the pain. It's the story they chose to release or to hold. Collapsing old realities is not destruction, it is creation. When you stop feeding energy into outdated identities, you release them from the quantum field. And what remains is space. Space for the new frequency to emerge. Joe Dispenza teaches that your personality creates your personal reality, which means that as long as you cling to the same emotions, the same thoughts, the same familiar self, you will inevitably recreate the same familiar life. To step beyond, you must let the old personality collapse, not piece by piece, but fully. This collapse often feels like chaos. Friendships fade, jobs end, long-standing patterns break apart, and it's tempting to think you are losing. But in truth, you are making room. The old scaffolding of who you were must dissolve so that who you are becoming can stand. It's the same principle in nature. The seed must disintegrate before the sprout can emerge. The caterpillar must dissolve in the chrysalis before the butterfly can fly. Collapse is not failure, it is transformation. So here's the shift. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What old reality is collapsing so a new one can emerge?" And in that question, you find freedom. Because the truth is simple. You are not losing your life. You are shedding the version of you that no longer fits. Reality does not punish. It only mirrors. And when you choose to stop observing yourself through the lens of your past, you collapse that reality and step into the one you were meant to live. What if what you focus on isn't just what you see, but what you create? You've heard the saying, energy flows where attention goes. But here's the deeper truth. Your observation does not only highlight reality, it collapses it. Just as the double slit experiment revealed. The moment something is observed, its infinite possibilities fall into a single expression. And every day, in every choice, your observation is collapsing possibilities into form. When you focus on lack, your nervous system tunes itself to detect more of it. When you focus on gratitude, your brain rewires to see opportunities you once missed. Observation is not passive, it is active programming. The lens you choose to look through doesn't simply color the world, it instructs the field itself. Think about this. Two people wake up on the same rainy morning. One groans, "What a miserable day." Their body slumps, their mood sinks, they notice only the inconveniences. Another wakes up to the same rain and whispers, "Perfect weather to slow down, to rest, to create." Their body softens, their heart opens, they notice the freshness in the air. Same weather, two realities. Observation made the difference. The observer effect is not just physics, it is life. Neuroscience confirms this. Every time you direct attention, you strengthen neural pathways. If you constantly observe your failures, your brain becomes efficient at finding evidence that you're not enough. But when you begin to deliberately observe your progress, even the smallest steps, your nervous system shifts. You literally reprogram your perception of reality. Bob Proctor often said, "What you focus on expands." But it's more than expansion. It's manifestation. Observation tells the quantum field which version of reality to crystallize around you. This is why patterns repeat. You've been unconsciously observing yourself through the same old lens. I always struggle. People can't be trusted. Life is hard. And so reality mirrors that focus back to you, not as punishment, but as proof of the signal you're sending. But what happens when you choose differently? When you catch yourself in the spiral of lack and shift your gaze to what is present, what is working, what is opening? You begin to bend your timeline. You alter your frequency, and reality, like a mirror, reshapes itself around your new observation. Take the example of financial struggle. One person stares constantly at the bills piling up, repeating the story of scarcity. Their body locks into stress, their decisions are made from fear, and opportunities seem invisible. Another person with the same bills chooses to observe possibility. They look for new ways to create. They notice resources they had overlooked. They carry themselves with an openness that invites support. Both situations are real. But the observer decides which reality crystallizes, and this is the secret hidden in plain sight. Creation begins not with doing, but with seeing. Observation is the first act of creation, so pause and ask yourself, what am I really observing each day? Am I scanning for proof of failure or for evidence of growth? Am I locked on fear or open to possibility? The shift is subtle but profound, because when you choose your focus, You choose your future. And in this moment, right now, you are the observer, which means you are also the creator. What if the future you're waiting for is already here, just broadcasting on a different channel? You've been taught to chase your goals as if they live somewhere out there, in a timeline you haven't reached. But here's the truth. Every possible version of you already exists. Infinite dimensions are humming in the field, waiting for one thing, your attunement. Think of reality like a radio. The music doesn't stop existing when you're not tuned to it. The frequency is always broadcasting, invisible, present. The only question is, which station are you willing to dial into? The same is true with your desires. Abundance has a frequency, love has a frequency, healing has a frequency. And when your nervous system begins to embody that state now, before the evidence appears, you align yourself with that dimension. This isn't fantasy, it's neuroscience. Your brain doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and physical ones. When you visualize your future with clarity and pair it with the elevated emotions of gratitude, joy, or love, you fire and wire new neural circuits. Your body begins to believe it's already there. And as Joe Dispenza often reminds us, when your body believes the future has already happened, the quantum field has no choice but to reflect it. Take this example. Two people desire financial freedom. One focuses on lack, constantly thinking, "I'll be free when the money arrives." They live in waiting, their nervous system broadcasting scarcity. The other begins to practice gratitude for opportunities already present, visualizing themselves living from freedom, embodying the energy of expansion today. They make choices from abundance, not lack. And so opportunities begin to magnetize. Same desire, different frequency, different outcome. Tuning in is not pretending. It is rehearsing. It is teaching your mind and body to play a new song until it becomes the default station. You've done this unconsciously before. Remember when you were anxious about an upcoming event? You rehearsed the worst-case scenario over and over until your body felt as if it had already happened. That was attunement too, just tuned to fear. Now the invitation is to reverse the process. Instead of broadcasting the frequency of what you fear, broadcast the frequency of what you choose. Attunement is a practice of imagination and emotion. You close your eyes, you see the life you're calling in. You feel it in your body as if it were present now. Not someday, now, and with repetition the subconscious learns a new baseline. The hidden transmitter begins to send out a new signal, and here's the paradox. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. When you embody the vibration of the future now, you stop chasing, you stop waiting, and you begin magnetizing. So ask yourself, what frequency am I rehearsing each day? Am I unconsciously tuning to fear, or am I deliberately attuning to love, gratitude, and expansion? The shift is this: stop waiting for the future to arrive. Start tuning into it now, because the truth is simple. You are the radio, you are the station, and you are always free to change the channel. What if the version of you you're chasing is already inside you, waiting to be remembered? You've been told to set goals, to chase outcomes, to strive for the life you want. But here's the truth. You don't manifest by forcing. You manifest by becoming. The quantum field does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you are. Identity is the magnet. And until you shift your sense of self, reality will keep mirroring back the same patterns, the same cycles, the same limitations. This is why affirmations sometimes fall flat. You can repeat, "I am abundant," 1,000 times, but if deep down you still identify as someone who is lacking, your nervous system broadcasts that signal. The subconscious transmitter we explored earlier is not fooled by empty words. It resonates with embodied identity. Think of identity as resonance. Just like a tuning fork vibrates and causes nearby strings to hum in harmony, your sense of self sends out a vibration that reality synchronizes with. When you shift who you are being, not someday, but now, the external world reorganizes around that resonance. Take this example. Two people decide to get healthy. One still identifies as someone who hates exercise, who has always struggled, who is trying to change but doesn't believe they truly can. They force themselves through a few workouts, But the old identity pulls them back. The other person begins to embody the identity of, I am someone who cares for my body, who moves with joy, who already is healthy. They align their choices naturally, not through force but through resonance. Same goal, different identity, different outcome. Quantum physics shows us that particles are entangled, separated by distance, but still affecting one another instantly. In the same way, your future self is already entangled with you. It is not far away. It is vibrating now, waiting for you to step into alignment. Joe Dispenza teaches that your personality creates your personal reality. When you change your personality, your thoughts, your emotions, your habits, you are literally shifting timelines. You are collapsing a different version of reality into form, simply by becoming the self who already lives there. This is not pretending. It's rehearsing. Each time you choose gratitude instead of complaint, you are rehearsing the identity of your future self. Each time you sit in meditation and feel the emotions of already being free, already being loved, already being abundant, you are teaching your body how to resonate with that version of you. And with repetition, the resonance becomes who you are. Here's the shift. Instead of asking, when will I become that person? You begin to ask, what would that person feel today? How would they act? What choices would they make now? And then you live it, not in the distant future, but in this present moment. Because manifestation isn't about chasing a version of you out there. It's about collapsing into the version of you that is already here. The truth is simple. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And when you become the resonant self, reality has no choice but to sing in harmony. What if the doorway you've been searching for has always been inside you? Every transformation reaches a moment of crossing, a threshold, the place where the old dissolves and the new begins to feel real. Not in theory, not in hope, but in embodiment. You've felt it before. The quiet moment after a decision is made. The instant after you finally let go of someone you've been holding on to for too long. The breath you take after choosing courage instead of fear. That is threshold energy. The collapse of one dimension, the opening of another. The quantum field is infinite, but your life does not expand until you choose to step through. In the double slit experiment, light exists in waves of probability until observation collapses it into form. The threshold is that moment of collapse. The instant when you stop observing yourself as the old identity and begin observing yourself as the new. And here's the paradox. The doorway is not external. You don't cross it by waiting for circumstances to shift or for someone to give you permission. You cross it the moment you embody the vibration of your future self. Now, picture this. Two people stand at the edge of change. Both desire to create a new reality. One waits for evidence. I'll believe I'm worthy when life shows me proof. I'll step forward once I'm certain it will work. They hover at the threshold, never crossing. The other chooses differently. They feel the fear, but they step anyway. They declare, I am already worthy. I am already becoming. And as they embody it, the world rearranges. Same desire, different choice. One collapses the wave into reality. The other waits for a future that never arrives. Joe Dispenza often reminds us, your personality creates your personal reality. To cross the threshold is to let the old personality dissolve. The thoughts, the emotions, the habits that belong to who you used to be. It feels like death because in a way it is, but only by letting that self dissolve do you awaken as the one who already lives in your chosen dimension. This is not about forcing or pretending. It's about surrendering, about breathing into the unknown and allowing the field to catch you. Like a bird that leaps from the branch, not because it knows the wind is there, but because it trusts the wings it already has. The threshold is not a someday moment. It is always now. Every time you choose gratitude over complaint, you cross. Every time you forgive instead of repeat the story, you cross. Every time you step into the feeling of your future instead of the memory of your past, you cross. So here is your invitation. Stop waiting for the doorway to appear. Realize you are the doorway, and every moment you choose to live as if the shift has already occurred. You step through again and again, because the truth is simple. The old dissolves not when life changes, but when you stop feeding it with your focus, and the new begins not when the evidence shows up, but when you decide to live from it now. You are always standing at the threshold. The question is, will you cross? What if the miracle isn't a single moment of awakening, but the way you choose to live every day after? You've crossed thresholds, released old stories, tuned into frequencies, embodied your future self. But here's the truth. Living in a new dimension is not a one-time event. It is a daily choice. The quantum field is infinite. Every moment, every breath holds endless possibilities. And reality will always mirror your frequency, not to punish, but to reflect. Which means your practice is not about forcing outcomes, but maintaining alignment. Imagine two people who both awaken to this truth. One has a profound breakthrough, feels the shift, but then slips back into old habits, scrolling, doubting, rehearsing stress. The dimension collapses back to the familiar. The other person treats the awakening as a practice. Each morning they align through breath, through gratitude, through intention. They choose again and again to embody the resonance of their desired self. And the new dimension becomes not just a glimpse, but a way of life. This is the difference between inspiration and transformation. Inspiration is a spark. Transformation is tending the fire daily. Joe Dispenza teaches that when you repeatedly embody elevated emotions, gratitude, joy, love, you condition your body into a new state of being. Over time, that state stabilizes. You no longer visit the new dimension, you live there. Your nervous system learns to default to expansion rather than contraction, possibility rather than fear. And this is mastery. Not avoiding the old emotions when they arise, but choosing not to feed them. You notice the doubt, the fear, the scarcity, but you no longer identify with them. You no longer collapse them into form. Instead, you redirect your focus, your observation, your frequency, and reality responds. Think of it like this: a mirror only reflects what stands before it. If you keep standing in love, the mirror cannot show lack. If you keep standing in gratitude, the mirror cannot show despair. The mirror does not decide, it reflects, and life is the same. So the call is simple but not easy. Live as if the shift has already occurred. Not someday, not when the evidence arrives, but now. In your thoughts, in your emotions, in the way you walk into a room, in the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening, because the new dimension is not out there waiting. It is here, entangled with you, woven into the fabric of this moment. And you are the one who decides which version of reality will crystallize. The old self will whisper. The old stories will try to pull you back. But each time you choose alignment, you strengthen the resonance. Each time you embody your awakened self, the quantum field bends to meet you. So let this be your reminder. You are not the victim of reality. You are the creator of it, and the future you've been waiting for is not ahead of you. It is inside you, broadcasting now, asking only one thing. Will you live it? The doorway is open. The field is listening. The mirror is ready. Step fully in. This time, don't look back.